Welcome back to the LCS Dome, powered by Alien Wave 100 Thieves versus Cloud9, where the Thieves picked up a big win to kick off the week versus FlyQuest.
Yeah, they've won back-to-back wins now. You know, they feel pretty good about that after what was a pretty slow start from 100 Thieves. And one thing I think working well for them is that Ryoma has been showing more confidence. I think that sometimes when you have young players who aren't getting a lot of success at the time, they quickly revert back into playing passively, into trying to say, all right, well, I'm just not going to do anything. I'm not going to be the reason we lose. And that's not an effective way to win League of Legends at all. So even though he does have mistakes at times, he is playing aggressively, he is trying to push the limit and really find a way that he can be incredibly useful for this team. And I think that's something that is so valuable for all these rookies. And at the same time, you know, Ssumday has also really been playing well. I mean, his Jayce game was incredible. He absolutely popped off. You know, you don't have to look any further than any 100 Thieves post to see everyone begging for somebody to just put him on carries, let the man take over. And he got his chance to do that. And, you know, when the solo laners are working well together, it's going to spell very good things for 100 Thieves. So something for their fans to definitely be excited about.
Certainly so, and even though they do have a tall task in this particular matchup, certainly do want to highlight their top lane there with Ssumday looking so good. Licorice has also had a very good split as well. Granted, all of Cloud9 are looking amazing, but I think Licorice is having more of a standout split so far this summer. Where he was more of a, you know, he had to play weak side a lot spring.
Oh, like, what is that? It's so funny. You know, Mark can talk about this on the analyst desk, but when you actually, you know, sort by, you know, CSD for the league, most of the top laners in the league are negative, and you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And then you see Licorice so far above everyone, it's like, yeah, they're all negative because they all got slammed by Licorice. And that is something that is just really crazy to think about, you know, how dominant this player has been. But Ssumday, you know, is one of the best laners in the league. Ornn also is a shared champion there, you know, for Licorice. It couldn't actually fit in the graphic, but just put it there in your minds. But, you know, Ssumday has been a great laner, and I do think that this is one of the ways that 100 Thieves could have an in this matchup, but let's be honest, it takes the entire team playing really, really well to challenge 100 Thieves, to challenge Cloud9 for 100 Thieves, because Cloud9 has really incredible players across the board, and they work so well together. So that's why it's so tough to beat them. You know, other teams in the past, there's been more like, oh, okay, they're really good, but their top laner sucks, or oh, they're really good, but like if you ban out their mid laner, there's a way in. It doesn't feel like that exists for Cloud9, or at least no one has discovered what that recipe is yet. So it really just takes you being able to match the early aggression, being able to team fight incredibly well, being able to have a great draft. You know, it just requires everything to beat this team.
Yep, and so far, they played everyone, and no one has managed to do it yet. So we'll see if 100 Thieves, with a different roster, can do it the second time around. Bans for this game in Phase 1 are Kalista, Twisted Fate, Ezreal, Graves, and LeBlanc. Cloud9 with one more to go. We'll see what they do want to select here for their final ban. Starting to see Varus get through a little bit more, and that will be the case this game as well, as Syndra is the final ban.
Yeah, Varus got some pretty hefty nerfs in this this most recent patch, so you know we are seeing him get through more. But a lot of the times when people are going for him, I think you know there's a plan from their opponents to actually deal with it. Seeing the early Karma pick here does lead you to believe that you know you are going to see potentially double marksman style stuff. We have been seeing a lot of that. Obviously, you can just go Karma as a standard range support alongside a powerful laner and look to bully that 2v2, but it can be flexed to mid lane. We've even seen it played top. That is much less common. Cloud9 here going to be able to get their hands on Wukong very likely, which is scary because they've now shown that they can actually dominate with it, in the bottom lane. Senna plus Wukong. This was the draft yesterday. I am expecting it to go right back to that bottom lane, but you don't know that for sure if you're 100 Thieves. So this could be top, this could be jungle, this could be Zven playing it. And that is something that is really frustrating to deal with in draft, because at that point you're just guessing, right? So you could say, all right, I think it's going to go to Licorice. Let's ban out a bunch of marksmen to try to answer Zven. And then Zven can just play it and you have wasted those bans. So that is one of the things that is really tough. Every time Cloud9 shows a new adaptation, shows a new style of champion that they can play, it's something you have to account for and pick a ban.
Yeah, and we did see this as early as yesterday from Cloud9, playing this in the bottom lane with Zven on the Wukong. It was into Varus, which is, you know, another thing here. It's like, well, maybe we shouldn't take it because they already beat it up. Granted, it was Bard and not something like potentially Karma as the range support, but still Bard's like a really good range laning support. So it's Ashe and Olaf here instead for 100 Thieves. I do like the early jungle pick for the Thieves.
Yeah, this is Ashe is a really strong laner, but functions similarly to Varus in that you don't really have a lot of mobility. So you are vulnerable to the dive post 6 from Wukong. I do think that Karma is going to help you more with dealing with that dive. Remember, it could still be Karma mid for Ryoma. Could be a different support down there to try to defend this Ashe if they want to go that route. But Ashe, Karma, as far as a laning duo in the straight-up 2v2 are incredibly strong. They have so much poke, good range to really try to harass this Wukong down if he does in fact go down to that bottom lane. J4 coming through, pretty much guaranteed to be a jungler. You don't really see solo lane in J4 almost at all. Rarely you see it as kind of a bot lane pick, but it's only really kind of for some of the cheesy all-in lanes, at least in solo queue. So expecting this to be J4 jungle, expecting this to be Wukong and Senna bot, but we're gonna have to keep our eyes open for any potential flexes, as Cloud9 can be very tricky.
Yeah, Jarvan also a perfectly good pick. Not something we've seen all that often. I think has some value against Olaf, trapping him in the ulti. But it's kind of interesting to see Blaber play something a little bit more defensive. There was Volibear he could have played that he's played already.
Well, I think it's all just like, we're going to kill Ashe, right? And
yeah.
Ashe doesn't have a gap closer. So if you don't have Flash, guess what? You're not getting out of the Cataclysm, right? And that I think is really what this is signifying, because J4 can actually ult in the Ashe, and then Wukong can still E over that wall no problem and get right on top of that Ashe and actually burst them down. You have then the Senna ultimate, which your divers are inside the J4 ult, the enemy is inside the J4 ult. Guess what? The Senna ultimate covers the entire thing, so you're going to get shielded up, you're going to get that damage down. They are trying to target Nisqy here, some of these more teamfight style picks. I think the Orianna is an intelligent ban, pairs very well with both the J4 as well as the Wukong, but I think you are kind of conspicuously leaving Galio open.
Yeah.
Maybe they are feeling like there's not going to be enough consistent damage on the Cloud9 team if they go to Galio, and I think that is a reasonable assertion. Jayce here would pretty much seal the deal on this being Wukong bot. And does make sense as kind of someone who has relatively high physical damage, but you are looking at a 4 AD comp now. So if you go Galio, yes, you can go AP, and yes, there is burst there, but as far as the extended fights, as far as the consistent damage, it's not that high. There are obviously lots of other options. You could still go like something like Zoe or Pokey like that, but Nisqy can play obviously a lot of stuff. TF is banned out though, multiple bans from both sides towards mid lane, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes. Rumble actually could be a decent option. Rumble plus the Cataclysm, I think that can be pretty powerful and is a good amount of denial. And they actually drafted the Galio potentially away from them. So
yeah,
Galio Camille kind of taking their own ultimate combo here and throwing it right back in the face of Cloud9. They can look to dive onto the Senna. Senna, though, likely will be going for, this really defensive style build that we saw yesterday, where you are going, straight up like Black Cleaver or Frozen Mallet, and you're playing Grasp. Cassio fits the bill as far as someone who's going to play very defensively. And Cassio's also pretty tricky to deal with for Camille, because you can deny the hook shots coming through. If you actually, place the miasma on her, she can't actually hook shot in and out of that. It is a very nice 1v1 for Cassio, in the extended lane against Galio, if you can actually get that matchup. Of course, Galio has really good gank assist. You can also say that the poison is pretty easy to overlap on top of the Cataclysm. So if you actually drop the miasma onto the Ashe as she gets Cataclysm, she can't even flash out of that J4 ultimate. So that can be pretty concerning. And there is a lot of melee on the 100 Thieves side too, so you really do have to watch out for that Petrifying Gaze, the Cassio ultimate, which can be pretty frightening.
Yeah, especially if Nisqy's going phase rush, which I guess we'll see what keystone he wants. I like Cassio's got some built-in resilience to Olaf as well, which is nice, because your immobile carries getting run down by Olaf always feels pretty scary, and Cassio can actually, even with Ragnarok active, do a decent job of getting out of there. So I think the draft taking a turn there at the end. I like what 100 Thieves are doing. Like, I even thought that maybe Senna would consider Camille if, like, Ornn was going to be the pickup for the top lane, but I like Ssumday being on a carry. I like it being paired with the Galio so Ryoma can be really active on the map. Again, like, if you want to beat Cloud9, you have to take it to them at every single stage of the game. So I think they've set themselves up to do so. It's just doing that's been the really tricky part.
Yeah. 4 Conquerors taken here from Cloud9. So he didn't go Phase Rush. You know, I was going to say it would be Conqueror or Phase Rush. I didn't necessarily expect the Ghost adaptation. I think it's pretty smart, but I was actually expecting Cleanse Phase Rush if I had to bet on something, because there's a lot of hard CC. And Cassio is more of like a mid-range mage, and, you know, it can be difficult to actually play aggressively enough to get a lot of damage out, you know, when the threat of a taunt or an Ashe arrow is there. So he's going to have to be really careful, but, you know, does have the Ghost, is a summoner that has gotten some buffs lately and is quite powerful, so we'll see how well he can navigate this. Conqueror, obviously, pretty easily stackable because you have so many spammable spells and your consistent damage gets very high. It adds to the sustain. You know, almost always you're going to go, you know, for Ravenous Hunter for the healing as well as Taste of Blood, and your self-healing becomes really, really high.
Yeah, it is interesting to see, like, as Ashe rises in popularity, I feel like Cleanse has not been nearly as common as I thought it might be. It didn't come up very often in our last game. Apollo threw out some decent arrows, but there were other things that Immortals were able to do to find fights in that game. But especially with Galio there as well, curious to see if there is any sort of, you know, abuse of the lack of that summoner spell that 100 Thieves can employ. But for now, we'll start off on the jungle matchup here. Same side starts for both. Contractz on the blue side, going to be tearing through this Grump. And it's down towards the bottom side for Blaber, into the Wukong and the Senna.
Yeah, this should be interesting. You know, Zven is definitely going to have to try to just withstand this. You know, it really can be difficult, but it is grasp. You know, is grasp on the Senna here, and you can proc the grasp with your Q, which is very nice. You know, you're staying in combat. You look for the auto Q combo. You can proc the grasp, stack up that bonus health. Up here on the top side, it is actually Comet for the Camille. And a nice little trade, you know, utilizing the passive physical shield there. You would think that would be a disadvantageous trade for Ssumday because there's so many minions there for Licorice, and he was down a level, but did navigate it pretty well. The Comet is more of the old school style of rune. You don't really see it that much these days, but it still can be very effective in ranged matchups, especially where you're looking for the tactical sweep, and if you land the outer ring there, you get the bonus damage, you get the healing, and you also, with the slow, guaranteed the Comet will land. So that's really what you're looking to do. You're looking to kind of prey on the fact that Jayce doesn't have a ton of sustain, and Licorice, I think, just got himself killed.
Yeah, he's level 3 now, but I don't know if that's going to be soon enough. Ssumday looking for the solo kill, knocks him away, and that will keep him safe for now.
That was so bizarre. He just kind of wandered in there, you know. I don't know what he thought was happening. Maybe he thought he was getting ganked or something, and he had to run away. I'm kind of confused by that, because he kind of just walked up as level 2 Jayce to level 3, and I think he's pretty lucky that he didn't actually die, because if Ssumday early flash, there's potential that you get on the other side of the hammer form knockback and you just die. But he does escape. Ssumday, though, going to be really happy about this early play, and now it's 3 members from 100 Thieves looking to come up here top and try to punish Licorice. This is really kind of this vulnerable time where you just TP'd back as a top laner, and your opponent still has health and mana to spend, where they can look to play on you aggressively to try to whittle you down before they use their teleport. But Blaber did spot it, and Blaber's looking for a repeat gank now. Yeah,
this is a really nice time for Blaber. Ssumday going to have to get out. Oh, that flash was so close to Ssumday. Able to barely get out of there.
Yeah, that would have been crazy if Blaber landed that, but Ssumday anticipated that he would go for the flag and drag flash. They would look for the knock up there. So Ssumday early flashed it. Really well played by both players in that situation. It was, I think, a super intelligent regank from Blaber because he spotted the 2-man roam. And then in most situations, the C9 jungler, you know, the jungler on that side would just back off because you knew you were down numbers. Instead, Blaber just goes right back to him, looks to try to punish and try to make sure that Licorice is in a good situation. He trades his flash, but now Ssumday both had to teleport and use his flash, so he put Licorice back into a potentially winning position where he's the one-up summoners and can look to play out this lane aggressively as he really wants to on the Jayce. So good job by Blaber kind of making up for a little bit of a mistake earlier from Licorice.
Yeah, well, Cody going to TP back down here on the Ashe, and as expected, it is going very well in the farm department here. 40 to 24. So Zven currently down 2 waves, basically. He's going to get whatever of these. He can actually get to the last 3 or 4 there. but still down a decent amount. I think, you know, you go into these kind of matchups expecting to be at a deficit.
Uh-oh.
We'll see what else happens here. Is topside Contractz this time with a good gank, and Ssumday just barely going to miss that stun, but that's going to be first blood. It's Contractz that's able to grab, and he flashes the C9 emote as well.
You'll love to see the C9 emote. That is terrible. Licorice is actually in so much trouble. The lane is pretty hard frozen on him. You know, that could actually just kind of be like GG for your 1v1. At that point, you know, that was some pretty bad anti-timing. Licorice was trying to push in the wave, so notice how the wave is already frozen. He's trying to clear this out. He's trying to make sure that Contractz isn't here, but when you're going for that ward and the jungler is already waiting, you are just so screwed because he's not playing phase rush. He can't actually kite this out. Yes, he has the flash, but hookshot is there to follow, as is the flash from Olaf. So the wave remains frozen. He's going to fall significantly behind in experience. Now you're walking back to that lane. You still don't know where Olaf is, and Camille is 6, so you could just get all in. And this is looking, you know, really rough in the early stages here for Licorice, and Camille is an incredibly strong split pusher in the later stages of the game. So 100 Thieves, you know, are finding a way in. And I do have to say, despite the fact that Cloud9 still just seems to end every game in 30 minutes or less, there are more teams that are competing with them now in the early stages. You know, they are finding themselves in situations where they're being pushed to limits a little bit more. TL did it, TSM did it, even Golden Guardians was pushing them early. And here again, 100 Thieves now is contesting C9 in the early stages, and they're up 1,300 gold.
Contractz actually level 6 with the Olaf, going to clear out what vision is here. But Zven and Vulcan already forced to play pretty defensively in the 2v2. Are going to have to certainly play back with the enemy jungler nearby. And mid lane, actually somewhere we haven't been yet, because so much has been happening in the exchanges in top lane. But it is nice and even, which is always good to see. But looking for either of these champions really to get out of lane, Galio especially. And Ryoma being 6 means he certainly could combo in with something like the Camille that has been a timeless combination between those two champions.
Yeah, which makes it even more scary that Licorice is losing early, right? Because if you're actually behind in this 1v1 in the later stages, especially, you know, with the later ranks of the ultimate for Ryoma, it's so easy to actually join that Camille in a side lane and look for the potential 2v1 play onto the Jayce. You know, that is a split push win condition that is developing somewhat here for 100 Thieves. But we know Cloud9 are incredible at team fighting, and Blaber could be in some trouble.
Yeah, Bill's going to get ulted here by Galio. Yeah, Blaber can't get out at all, and Red Buff donated over. Ssumday says, thank you very much.
Really well done by Ssumday. I mean, he just kind of kept chasing around Blaber. You know, they were skirmishing in the river, but Blaber just took the honey fruit and healed back up. He spots him again at the red buff, and this time Ryoma is in range, so they're able to come in for an easy kill. Bad goes to worse there in the top lane, at least for Licorice, though. He was able to fully push in and reset that wave, so it won't be frozen on him. It is going to push back to him, and he has caught up a fair bit in farm because Ssumday was out of lane there, but Ssumday does have the Sheen, which is this really nice aggressive component of that Triforce. It really is going to up the burst. It allows you to play, you know, much more aggressively for these all-ins on someone like the Jayce, because Jayce really does need to whittle down the Camille before you can actually take that fully committed fight, whereas Camille is pretty happy as long as you know that no one else is there to take the all-in.
Of note also, Blaber being in the top side meant that the first dragon actually went to 100 Thieves as well. That was very easy
that's annoying.
for Contractz to solo, as Poome is starting to continue the frustration of C9, cancelling that recall, actually doing a pretty significant chunk of damage as well. Thankfully, there's no one around to potentially dive Nisqy, but Vulcan is here just in case, so is Blaber, who's just pathing through his jungle anyway. But Ryoma starting to get some push, again, can continue to be active here with this Galio.
Yeah, I mean, 100 Thieves are doing a lot of little things right. You know, they obviously got that kill onto Blaber, which was a bigger thing, but even previously, we actually saw Contractz interrupt a recall from Nisqy, so he gets interrupted once by the Olaf. Then Poome is roaming up there trying to clear out some vision, drop a ward in the jungle, and interrupts his recall again. You know, those things do start to add up and get pretty frustrating, and Nisqy's kind of getting locked in this lane where he very clearly wants to go back to base. And if you do force him back at an awkward timing, can be pretty bad. With him going back to base, they have that threat out on the map, so they're trying to position for a potential dive here on Licorice. At the very least, Licorice will likely lose some of these minions, but you can see that Nisqy is pathing straight up to top lane. You know, he can do this, and they're actually having Blaber collect the wave mid so that Nisqy can do this, but that's a cost in and of itself, because your Cassio is missing out on farm. Your Jayce is missing out on farm here. So yes, C9 is making the correct play to actually cover their top laner, and not allow this to become a complete disaster, but it's still putting gold where you don't really want it, because that's your tank J4 picking up gold instead of your Cassio.
Yeah, and the result is actually a Rift Tower for Contractz ability. He's going to get locked up here by Cataclysm. Miasma also there, and that's going to be a kill. Easy one there for C9. Maybe make it to Ssumday too far forward. And there's the ulti from Vulcan just to say hello. It's Cloud9 that pick up 2.
Nice couple kills. So they did lock in Contractz. I'm not sure if there was a window for him to flash out or not, but he just barely didn't have his flash. There was just a tiny smidgen of that cooldown left, and there's that Miasma plus J4 ultimate combo I was talking about. He gets completely locked in. We haven't really watched the bot lane at all, but they are down 30 CS. You're expecting them to be behind. No smite on Blaber, so I'm not sure if he'll want to fight for this, but this would, yeah, he's got to get out now for sure as Ssumday comes back. That would be pretty dangerous to hang around. But Cloud9 doing a good job fighting back. They do grab themselves a couple kills to get one on the Jayce, trying to get him back into this game still, as Contractz does find him here. So you can see the cooldown on the flash at the bottom of your screen. It's still up. So if he did have it, he would have been able to insta-flash out. At this point, if it comes up, it doesn't even matter because the Miasma is there. You were just locked in place, easily knocked down. Ssumday also does get taken out. Flag, drag, flash. Senna ultimate, a little bit too late to even grab an assist there, unfortunately for Vulcan, who does spend the cooldown, and it's quite long in the early games. So it doesn't feel that good as it reduces their potential of actually looking for a 2v2 all-in or a fight on that bottom side. So they're going to continue having to play weak side. Blaber has not really paid any attention down there. They've just got to try to withstand the onslaught from Cody Sun and Poome and farm up as best as they can.
Yep. The other thing, watching that replay back, is Ryoma's ulti was not available, which credit to Cloud9 for keeping track of cooldowns so closely. Because obviously Ryoma would have made a huge difference there as well. But 100 Thieves still on the assault. Contractz and Poome are going to move through the jungle. Dragons up in 20 seconds. They've got the Herald to drop mid if they need a little bit of extra room. And in fact, Contractz is just walking straight up into Blaber, but topside. Another 1v1 is brewing, and Ssumday just slaps Licorice there. Gonna ulti him down with a Hextech ultimatum. Licorice can't knock him out far enough.
Oh!
And Licorice, he's the one that gets the solo kill with a nifty Jayce mechanics.
The stopwatch didn't end up being needed, but strikes a pose after grabbing that solo kill. Nicely done by Licorice, able to trade back what was, you know, a pretty bad trade on the very start of it. You know, he was obviously behind off of that initial burst from Ssumday, but knew his damage limits well, and now C9 looking for a fight down here.
Blaber dives in, stopwatches himself in, trapping the Olaf in the Cataclysm. Contractz trying to run away, but Zven looking with the Cyclone, gets a 3 knock up there at the end of it all, and now Nisqy gonna flash it, looking for Poome. Not dead yet, but Zven, he's a little too low. He will fall, but Vulcan is gonna catch one with the root. Now still looking to try and chase one down here, but I don't think the rest of the Thieves will be taken down. They'll zip away back towards the tower, so Cloud9 gonna trade 1-for-1.
They do at least grab the dragon on the side of 100 Thieves, but it is that 1-for-1 trade, as you say, you know, including the kill up on the top side, though. Cloud9 does go ahead, and credit to Licorice for just really knowing the limits of his damage. That was a very close fight, but was able to realize that once the initial damage was actually spent from Ssumday, once he got that initial burst, despite the fact that Licorice is down on health, he has his spells available and he can actually trade back and turn that into a winning position. And this is something that's just really impressive about Cloud9. Yes, Licorice made a mistake early, but his team finds a way to get him back in it. It's a concerted effort from both Nisqy and Blaber to protect this guy and try to get him into a winning position. And then he's able to pay back that effort by getting a solo kill. So is going to be Rift Herald dropped. They will have to be careful about it. He doesn't know that Olaf isn't waiting to wrap around him, so that's why he has to back off and pay that respect until Blaber is up here. But they will at the very least be able to protect that turret from going down, and Ssumday will collect some of the plate gold.
Yep, not bad still. Usually the first Rift Herald is just going to get some gold off those plates, so perfectly acceptable there. Also, Contractz is actually busy invading, which is the reason why he wasn't looking for that dive. Porkshot is going to get a little bit of info for Cody, but I don't think it quite saw Blaber at the Krugs. But regardless, Contractz able to take down the red, is going to take down the rest of his Raptor camp as well. And Nisqy potentially in trouble. Contractz does not have flash, but Ssumday's over the wall, blocked up in the ultimatum, just as punch for the kill, and it's Ssumday that picks it up.
Nice roam down, and yeah, they didn't know exactly where Ssumday and Contractz were, but Nisqy was playing towards the side of the map that Contractz and Ssumday had just shown on. And that is something that you have to be really careful about. You know, sure, Blaber is there, but Blaber is actually zoned out. You know that they just stole the red buff, so you'd want to try to play towards the bottom side of the map where they couldn't actually come from.
Yeah, just a nice little play there.
This is a great game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Thieves have I mean, they've been on the up and up, but I think we expect them to certainly bring the battle here, but maybe not as much as they have. Ooh, that's a miss from Cody.
3 points.
Unfortunately, not the score he wanted. Blaber, they're still going to have to cataclysm because the Ragnarocking Olaf is rampaging in as Poome's able to pick up the kill. Ryoma coming down as well, but no fight to be continued.
Yeah, they do have the TP coming through. Vulcan's ult a smidgen too late, not able to have that land. He did go for the heal first. I'm not sure if it actually would have made any difference. Probably still would have been dead because I don't think Blaber was getting out from that position. But either way, good response by 100 Thieves. You know, Cloud9, I think, has made some mistakes, but they have been playing well around, their strengths and trying to make sure that Licorice is still in a winning position. But 100 Thieves have been battling back, and now the all-in potentially here on Cody Sun.
Oh, under Cody, the second spin's the one that does you in. It's Zven that's able to pick it up finally. The Senna and Wukong have control of their lane.
Get him pummeled the whole game long. 15 minutes under your tower, waiting for that moment, and finally they find it. And that is just really good job actually tracking summoners, knowing that Ashe still had no flash, and Poome just barely didn't have heal, because I think if heal's up there, you may give Cody Sun enough speed in addition to that shield speed up that he can actually kite that out and survive. Instead, he is not able to. He does end up going down. They get the kill, they get some tower damage, so Zven and Vulcan now at that point where they can look for 2v2 kills, and Cody Sun and Poome will have to really stand up and take notice.
And I think this is one of the things that's so cool about Cloud9. Like, we looked at those goal graphs, and, like, very few teams have even been able to get a lead against Cloud9. But I think the thing that, like, you might have missed looking at that graph is, like, the bottom of that, the axis on the leads that teams did have, is 2,000. Which is like a decent lead early on, but it's not like Cloud9 have been like 6,000 goal behind in the mid game and then come back to win really quickly. Like, they're still keeping the games very close in almost all instances. And I think the reason is because they're just so good at taking every little edge. Like, we've seen a bunch of different kills now happen because of good cooldown tracking on summoners. And now we might see something a bit more here. As Ryoma look for the taunt, but Blaber's going to dive in. It's TP Central here in mid lane, and Poome, he's going to be the first one locked up at the Ragnarok. He's going to get trapped as he tries to run in, but Ssumday also blasting in there as Licorice will be slain. Blaber will be killed by Ssumday, and the Thieves, they're going to get more. Ryoma with a max range Justice Punch finds the third onto Vulcan.
Cloud9 looking to get somewhat aggressive there after they disengaged the initial taunt attempt from Ryoma, but the whole team was there for 100 Thieves. Zven was not. He did not have his teleport. He was not in position to actually join, and the Cloud9 just kind of overextending a bit there, looking for that fight, and they're now falling pretty dangerously behind. This is actually shaping up to be a game that looks like this could actually be their first loss. I mean, this is Soul Point. You're down 4K. You just lost both mid lane turrets. 100 Thieves are going to have the side lane advantage here with the Galio plus Camille combo. So, yes, can Cloud9 come back? Sure. But this is the first time all season long I feel like they have really been in a truly losing position where it feels like this could be the one.
I would safely guess this is their largest deficit ever, this split. And I didn't look it up. I have no idea if that's true. That's just my gut feeling, because 100 Thieves did so well in this team fight.
Yep, Cloud9 disengaged, and they're like, hey, let's go, 3v3, all right. But Ssumday is TPing in, Zven cannot join, and Cody Sun arrives with the ultimate. He was actually a lot closer than Zven, so as the extra members show up, there's just not a lot really able to be done here for Cloud9. Plus the fact that both top laners are TPing in, the Jayce TP is much less powerful than Ssumday in that position, because Ssumday had the numbers, could just fly forward and lock someone down with the ultimate, and Jayce ended up just TPing in essentially to die. So Cloud9, they've got to make some moves happen, but this is a tough man to dive, and if you overforce too much and 100 Thieves are there to respond, you're going to get punished, because right now on that top side, Ssumday is pushing. He's stealing away the red buff too, it looks like, as some of those minions are going to get denied, and Cloud9 are just having their plays matched by 100 Thieves, and in a lot of these cases, outmatched.
Yeah, Contractz is always possessed. Absolutely! Goes in on Nisqy. That's an easy kill, and now going to make it 2 here as Ryoma moves in for it. It is Contractz, though, that nabs the last hit. He is farmed up so well, and you can start to see, like, with the Karma in the back pocket especially, Contractz is just relentlessly going on Cloud9 now.
Contractz is playing like a man possessed, trying to make Cloud9 regret letting him go all those years ago. And now, I mean, he has a multiple level lead. He is insanely strong at this point. Already has his cleaver, his warrior. He's building towards likely something like a Spirit Visage. And this Olaf is super, super strong. Really across the board, they're in a great position. And they're 6,000 gold nearly ahead here, still at soul point. So remember, Cloud9 is almost completely just forced to fight at this next dragon. Like if you give over Cloud Soul, sure, it's maybe not as straight up as much combat power as something, you know, like the Ocean Soul or even the Infernal, but especially with some of these champions, when you look at something like the Olaf, you know, Olaf is gonna pop ultimate, you know, get sped up by the Karma and be going 10,000 miles an hour at you. It's just like, there is no kiting that. You just die at that point.
Yeah, so fast it looks like he travels through time. It's just like, Cloud's
You're running on feet and Contractz is in the Lambo just cruising up on you. Oh no!
I mean, with these shrines as well in the jungle, like Contractz is just like rampaging through the jungle. Like every camp is his. He's so fast.
Yeah.
Cloud9, 5,000 gold down now. Goodness, minute 55 until the Cloud Soul is up, and there's also Baron to consider as well. Like this is such a good lead for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I actually, you know, they're getting near unwinnable point of the game because the fact of the matter is, even if you actually just like your best dive target is Cody Sun, right? So let's set up the situation where, you know, Zven and Blaber are able to dive and Vulcan ults over top and they kill off Cody Sun immediately. You still are then dealing with both Ssumday and Contractz, who are just insanely strong. Contractz is going to run at him.
Doesn't have to stop. Conquer is proccing. Yeah, that's just the kill. Zven can't do anything. Galio finds 2 with the knockup though. Ulti's in, make it 2 on the Blaber. That could be Baron straight away.
Cloud9 on the precipice of their first loss here. 100 Thieves are the ones looking to hand it to them. This is absolutely crazy. 100 Thieves had such a tough start to this split, and now picking up back-to-back wins. And to start off the second half of your split with a win over Cloud9 would be absolutely monumental in spring. They had a rough start too. They bounced back. They really improved. And it feels like it is all coming together here now. 400 Thieves. This is insane.
Yeah, 35 seconds till the soul is up. I mean, clearly Contractz is watching the LCS because this reminds me of Blaber's Olaf from the early weeks of the split. This is just, I mean, he knows he can do this. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Run.
Yeah, you can't run fast enough.
No, there's not much. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the true answer is not be there. But, you know, it doesn't help once you already are. You still want to get farm, and it's so tough because you lost both your mid lane turrets off of that one fight in mid lane, and that's the one that really felt like it just absolutely put Cloud9 so far behind because they no longer had this area of safety from which you could move out and get vision towards the Baron buff, right? And that's why they're pushing out mid lane. You could say, why aren't you sitting in your base? Well, because if you sit in your base and you have no vision on Baron, they can just do it. Now Cloud9 are forced to take this. You know, not only are they 8,000 gold behind, Baron buff stats are there too. They don't even hurt Ryoma.
Deep TP from Zven as well. There's the miasma onto the Olaf, but he's still Ragnaroking around.
Behind.
Zven with the flank. That's a big cyclone, but Ssumday also disruptive. The second spin happens. Contractz though just gets the kill. 100 Thieves cannot be stopped. The taunt onto Nisqy is likely going to be the kill, but Cody does die to Licorice at least. But the rest of the Thieves are just charging in. They've only lost 1. They've killed 3 on Cloud9, and Vulcan's just going to get shut down here as well. Karma speeding everybody up. Ssumday finishing off that kill, and they'll just chase for Licorice. They know he's dead as well. That is going to be the ace for 100 Thieves on Cloud9.
I can't believe what I'm watching. They're 10,000 gold ahead. They're going to get the soul. They're going to take inhibitor. They are taking everything. This game is over. There is no coming back from this deficit. It's just up to 100 Thieves to close this one out now. And they are just looking unstoppable in this game.
Yep, they're going to get the Cloud Soul as well, so Contractz is going to be even more terrifying. 3K on 3 different people contributing to the damage in the last team fight, and we have talked about this. Like, there is something special about being the first team to beat Cloud9, but nobody had 100 Thieves on their bingo card.
No, not at all. I mean, people were talking about, oh, could it be TSM to challenge them, or maybe Liquid could do it, you know, if they can clean up some plays. But it's actually 100 Thieves who aren't just challenging them, they are slamming them, Pastry, and yeah, Zven got a lot of knockups there. That was nice. They do take down Cody Sun, but who cares? Because you still have Ssumday alive here, flashing in, taking down Blaber. You have Contractz, who is just unstoppable at this point. This man is looking like a monster, and Cloud9 are up against it. Blaber is dead again. it is the march forward here for 100 Thieves, walking into the base, looking to take down the inhibitor. And I think that they will just go towards bot lane and look to grab that second inhibitor, play it safe, try to check all the boxes here. No need to try to just charge for the Nexus yet, because they can take away all of Cloud9's jungle. They can really cut out their resources and look to make this one a guaranteed game.
Just for some perspective on like how the last 10 minutes have been going, before that last fight, where 100 Thieves got the ace, Cloud9's last kill was on Cody Sun at 15 minutes and 47 seconds. They only got one more kill since then. It was also on Cody Sun, but it very clearly didn't matter, as the Thieves got the ace, the Cloud saw, and are now looking to close up this game in short order. Like, Cloud9 have kept themselves in the early game with a lot of really intelligent plays, but it just has not mattered for most of this game.
No, it really hasn't. And Contractz is to blame for a lot of Cloud9's woes. You know, he has just been running over this game, has been right place, right time, you know, stacking objectives early and often, you know, taking away so many camps and getting ridiculously strong. I mean, he's level 15 right now, higher level than any of the soul laners on Cloud9. You know, he's multiple levels up on Blaber, so it's getting very, very
Watch this. Just, oh, goodness. The terror, it's just so stupid. He's going to chase down Vulcan. He's unstoppable. Goes legendary. Doesn't get the kill on Zven yet. Nisqy flashing in. Cloud9 trying to make a goal for Ryoma. He's in there. He's going to get cycloned up, though. There's the dunk from Blaber, but Cloud9 just don't have the money, the resources, the anything to finish it off. Ssumday's charging in. 100 Thieves going to end the game right here, as they're going to get absolutely everybody. Yeah, Cody, he's going to die again, but Contractz lives, and the Thieves are going to charge down mid to hound Cloud9, their first loss of the summer.
What a game from 100 Thieves, just dominating start to finish here. Contractz running over his squad from the past. Ssumday, a monster on this Camille, and they are going to close it out. What a performance here. First team to deal a defeat to Cloud9.
Yep, don't call him the comeback here, but it is Contractz that slams down that Nexus as 100 Thieves will topple Cloud9.
Wow.
Yeah.
They have got to be so happy about that win, man. That is just such a confidence booster for 100 Thieves. After a rough start to the split, they have now won 3 straight, including being the first to actually topple Cloud9. Cloud9 not going to go undefeated in spring, not going to go undefeated in summer. Still clearly have been the best team throughout the league, but finally someone shows that Cloud9 can bleed, that you can punish them, that you can match them for, you know, blow for blow. And I've got to give so much credit to the whole 100 Thieves squad, because this truly was a team victory. Their bot lane, we didn't show them a lot, but they're up 30 CS and playing well in, yes, admittedly an advantageous matchup. You know, the mistakes from Licorice early on were capitalized on. Contractz was snowballing. It felt like Ryoma was right place, right time. You know, multiple members actually roaming up to interrupt Nisqy and put him behind. Like, it just felt like they were doing all the things right, and always someone was there when Cloud9 wanted to make a play to actually answer that play and punish it.
Yep, 100 Thieves just had all the right answers, and we are going to go for a break, but when we return, the Tigers will hear from Contractz himself, so don't go anywhere.
Your Honda MVP!
Dreams aren't achieved overnight. They take passion.
It's Mr. World 3.
Dedication. And even then, there are no guarantees. But for the LCS, that's the power of dreams.
Too bad!
It means you never give up. It means you always play again. Honda, proud automotive partner of the LCS.
Welcome back to the LCS, everyone. I hope you took a breather. I know we all needed it after that game. And with that, I'm standing on here with Contractz for our Verizon post-game interview. Oh my goodness. With the history that you have with Cloud9 previously playing under the blue banner, does that add anything additional to the victory that you just experienced?
Yeah, a little bit. It's been like 3 years, so not too much, but like say if like right after I got or after I left C9 in like 2018, if I like won right after that, then it would have felt really good, but it still feels pretty good being an undefeated team, so that's nice.
Yeah, defeating an undefeated team, and you had the tall task of facing off against the Honda MVP in the jungle. So for looking at this specific game, how did you prepare and approach this game?
I kind of wanted to go with a more kind of jungle kingdom kind of matchup. So basically, like Olaf into anything he'll play, it kind of will still be in my favor since I clear faster and I can just kind of keep up my tempo. And yeah, I mean, he played Jarvan into it, which is kind of weird. He kind of just gave me a free matchup, so I wasn't really expecting that. But yeah, I mean, it feels pretty good beating Blaber. But you know, Blaber is still the best jungler in NA, so definitely looking forward to future matchups versus him.
And even if you feel like they handed you over a free matchup, it doesn't take away from what 100 Thieves were able to accomplish here, right? You looked so coordinated in the team play, which says a lot about the team considering the recent addition of you and Poome to the roster. What have you all been focusing on as a collective to get to this point, to be able to hold your own against Cloud9?
Yeah, our coaches have been doing a pretty good job of kind of setting the goals for the week and kind of just setting like 1 or 2 things to improve on each day and then working on that throughout the day. We've been really like well structured, and it's definitely been helping us with our growth for sure. I think without like that kind of structure, it would be definitely not as improved as we are now. So I'm just excited to keep up the hard work.
And speaking of you as an individual, you've clearly put a lot of work in. You've said this in multiple interviews throughout the past week since rejoining the LCS. A win against Cloud9 means wonders for 100 Thieves within this current split. So how does this victory affect your personal goals as well as 100 Thieves when it comes to the summer split?
Yeah, I mean, after everything, it's still just one game in a long split, right? So I still have a lot of work to do, and I'll take it day by day, and hopefully I can do well in playoffs this split.
Taking it day by day, and I know you have a day of celebration ahead of you, so thank you, Contractz, for taking the time for me.
Well, thank you.
With that, I know we have a lot to talk about with a wonderful game that we just witnessed, so let's send things over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Licorice. You are right. The first loss handed to Cloud9 in this split, and it comes from 100 Thieves as we kick off the second round robin. I got to be honest, not the way I expected it to happen, not the team I expected to do it, but they got it done. And gents, we have talked all split long about what is the plan. How do you attack Cloud9? It has to be done in the early game. You have to build that lead, and they did it.
And he did it from the jungle. Contractz said he felt like he got a free matchup in the Olaf versus Jarvan matchup, and with Ssumday playing a carry in the top lane, they had a lot of pressure in a lane that they could continue to go towards, and it just did not stop. They were relentless in the early game. And then they also were able to put Ryoma in a champion that synergizes with everyone else as well. So now you can have Ssumday be a big menace and support him as well without having to have so much pressure on you carry. Now, Cloud9 answered back, but boy, 100 Thieves just had a game plan from the start to finish that they were so consistent in playing around.
Yeah, and I gotta. Oh, sorry. I was just stunned that how well they actually executed this combination. Like Ssumday was so aggressive going to the enemy jungle. He was not scared. He was taking fights with down to the hundreds of HP against Licorice. And yeah, sometimes it didn't work out. Sometimes he died. But you can't play scared. You cannot be afraid to take that kind of fight. He kept going forward, and eventually him and Contractz pulled off enough of them.
If I had to throw some criticism at Cloud9's way, is that usually they need Vulcan to be really active in the early game, roaming around and being able to influence other lanes. But when he's stuck playing Wukong, Senna, they're not really doing much. So the top side of the map needs to be super strong. C9 didn't respect it, and C9 just slapped it down.
Probably, get in here. Talk to me. What went on?
I mean, I'm really happy that 100 Thieves did not like feel the pressure once they started losing some of the skirmishes. Like we saw up there, like Contractz died, and then right after Ssumday died, and then we roll back, Ssumday dies again. But see, this wasn't really that big of an issue for 100 Thieves because they got such a strong composition. And I want to throw a little criticism over to Cloud9 in their pick order. This is the first time they didn't take Olaf when it was up, which I thought was very weird. And even Contractz said he thought the Jarvan counter pick wasn't that strong, and it was just gave him a free matchup. And then going into the last part of the draft in 4-5, they blind picked the Jayce. And you're doing this against Ssumday, who's a strong player. He has a great champion pool, and he's very able to punish. So instead of hiding the Wukong flex, instead of hiding your top laner and blind picking a mid, let's say ban Ori, Syndra, pick the Cassio. If they ban the Cassio, you take the Galio. Like, you have a lot of options, but they basically gave 100 Thieves a Cloud9 comp, which is Galio for the Olaf power farm and then the Olaf carry.
How do you beat Cloud9? You play the comp that they would play themselves. We heard Zven say in the interview yesterday, with the 9-0 start that they had, they feel a little bit of freedom to experiment a bit, but perhaps a bit of a misgiving and a misstep there when 6 out of 9 games the pick was banned against them, Olaf, and in the other 3 they picked it up. To your point, probably the first time they've foregone that pick. Mark, it all comes down to, though, this idea that a team has to do something in the mid-game to close the game, and 100 Thieves is the first to do it against Cloud9.
Yeah, this is the exact play that no other team has been able to actually pull off post 15 minutes against C9. You're entering the mid game, you have a small gold lead, 900, around 1,000, and they get this monstrous 3-for-1 in the mid lane with a Rift Herald that they can drop afterwards to grab objectives, and explodes the gold lead up to 5,000. This is something that teams have been struggling to do, and why it's so impressive that 100 Thieves have been able to do it. People have had these gold leads pre-15 before. It's what comes after that no one's been able to do, and why it was so impressive to watch them do it, because a lot of this was also on 100 Thieves actually just having a really well-crafted composition and pulling the trigger.
Yeah, what's interesting there, Mark, the point you make around gold differences. Other teams have had large gold differences against Cloud9 prior to 15 minutes. In fact, their largest gold deficit as a team for Cloud9 prior to this game was 2.3K. But generally by 20, Cloud9 either brings it back to even or ahead for themselves. And this time around, it was 100 Thieves that was able to essentially double their gold lead in that time and really start to accelerate. So for the first time ever, the gold graph against Cloud9 goes in the other direction.
Wait, this is also might be the first time I've seen a jungler with so much more damage than the rest of his team. Like, eventually Contractz figured out, like, I can 1v1 anyone on Cloud9, and he started taking every single fight with either Galio backing him up or the Karma Shield.
And I love this composition for a lot of reasons for 100 Thieves. Like, this is something I've been asking for them to play, the Karmas, the Galios and stuff from mid lane for a long time. Give Ssumday the carry potential, and even Contractz has always been best as a carry jungler, like we said before on some of the range champions, like earlier in the weekend on Nidalee. But Olaf as well, giving him golden resources to take over the game. And he showed, yes, if you give me gold, I can carry games for you.
With this game in the books, it brings us to one more piece of duty, or one other duty that we have to follow through with. We have to reset the counter, unfortunately, on Cloud9's days since they've lost. Back down to 0. They were very close to those triple digits, almost 100 days, but it has been reset, and it was 100 Thieves who did it. Crumbs, to me, the most interesting thing here now is the conversation that you began before any of us were ready to have it. The way that the bottom teams in the league have reformed in these last couple weeks to start challenging everyone above them.
They got a fire in their ass. They know they have a very small window in which to operate since playoffs is right around the corner. And a lot of these players just wanted to play in LCS so badly. So they're really just going an extra mile, not phoning it in. They're making sure they're giving it their all, and I think that is really what we're seeing here, where they're just coming into the LCS with a fresh perspective of how to approach the game, and you're seeing it with the picks that they're best at. You're seeing a little more addition and flavor in the top lane with Camille as well. So I just think that the bottom teams are making it so much more interesting. And another conversation that I know is going to happen, we're going to talk to Cloud9. They're going to say, this is the best thing that ever happened to us. We're so glad we lost right now. We were getting overconfident, and then now we got knocked back down to reality. Thank you, 100 Thieves. That's definitely what we're going to hear.
Thank you, 100 Thieves. Making the league stronger. That's what I like to hear. Mark, final point?
I was just, that's the PR. Inside they're like, damn it!
They're so mad. No 18-0 split.
No one
summer.
Gets ice cream tonight.
We have to wait till at least 2021 for an opportunity at that perfect regular split. Congratulations to 100 Thieves for being the first to take down Cloud9. 6 out of 8 of our games this weekend have been upsets by the record. We got 2 more games to hit your screens. It's time for us to step away. After 3 minutes, Freak and Kobe will bring you Golden Guardians versus Team Liquid. So we'll see you then.
It's Jake from State Farm.
Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.